let me just say an official welcome to the first episode.
The very first.
Of Rhythm of Love, the podcast.
Yes.
You know Rhythm of Love, the book. And if you don't know, you need to get yourself a copy.
Absolutely.
Check us out on cyllentertainment.com for your copy of The Rhythm of Love. 25 things that we learned in 25 years of marriage. All right, so first episode of the podcast, C#. And for those of you who don't know us from Twitch, I'm Yalonda. This is Clarence. On Twitch, our handles are Yo-Yo Bebe and DJ C#. So you might hear me intermittently going back and forth between Clarence, C#, CL.
Out of habit. Out of just force of habit.
Yes, I always call him C# on stream. I try not to use his government there. But first episode, of The Rhythm of Love, the podcast, and you've got me outside of my comfort zone.
Oh yes, yet again.
Just a little bit of background. We started streaming like so many people did back in the pandemic in 2020. So you can see old footage of me just with a mic in my hand and sitting next to him at the DJ turntables.
It's like the dark days, like the dark ages.
Very much the dark ages. We were using the iPhone to record all of that.
It only took about a year and a half to get the audio right. It only took
if not more. I feel like we didn't get the audio right until
it took at least a year and a half.
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to log in to Twitch so I can see folks. Can you log me in, babe, while I'm talking? But so that's the first step outside of my comfort zone, is sitting next to him with the mic. I'm like, I don't have anything to say. And then we had this great stream for our 25th anniversary where, we were all on lockdown. So this is a very major milestone anniversary, but we couldn't go anywhere. So we just did a crazy live stream where we each came up with a few things that we had learned in our 25 years of marriage to make up a list of 25 things.
Correct.
And that went over so well that this
book is the
lovely
product.
Baby came out of this. So that was the next step out of my comfort zone, and he's stepping out of his too, to be quote unquote authors. And now here we are, because at the time I was like, okay, let's do a podcast, and he's like, no, let's write a book.
Right.
And we went his way. So now we're circling back to my way.
But let me say why I said we shouldn't do a podcast. I said I don't have that much to say. And I don't think that we can keep people's attention for the time that is necessary for most podcasts. You look at podcasts that, hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, but
that's too long, first of all.
I have grown since then and seen other people's stuff, and people don't talk that long. So
you don't have to.
You can get in and out in 20, 25 minutes.
Especially if you're dropping those good nuggets.
Well, we'll see. Pause.
We
pausing
on the nuggets?
We pausing on the nuggets. We pausing on the nuggets.
I think the nuggets are good.
Okay.
Let's just proceed on the nuggets.
Let's proceed. Pause again.
I see you, Lily P. So yeah. So here we are. First episode. So what we thought. So C# was like, what would we possibly talk about on the podcast?
Before we do that, before we get into that.
Yeah.
So one of the great things about our inaugural episode is that we are actually filming directly from Kev on Stage Studios.
Whoop whoop.
In the beautiful San Fernando Valley.
Beautiful.
It's
we
beautiful.
have never been here before. The drive over from Anaheim, which is where we were staying.
It was a good drive. It was a
great drive. You can see green mountains in the foreground and palm trees, green mountains, snow-capped mountains.
Yes.
It was an amazing drive. We had an amazing experience last night in San Pedro was where
we were last night. The end of the earth.
We
That's
were
what
at the end of the earth because there was nothing between us and the ocean but a cliff. And we were right there at sundown. So amazing. Follow us at CYL Entertainment on IG.
And
you will see the pictures and video. I was scared out of my wits, but it was so worth it to walk that tight little cliff trail.
She braved
and see that sunset. So yeah. That you just wanted to say that we were here.
I just wanted to let you know we were here because, you know, we have been talking about it a lot. We've been talking about it a lot for years, for the last 2 years. And he may see this, so we're going to make sure he knows this. For the last 2 years, we have been trying to connect with Mr. Kev on stage, and we have not been able to connect with him.
Out of admiration, out of sheer admiration, out of sheer sharing stories of marriage, you know, we're fans of Marriage Be Hard. We're fans of the Love Hour. We're fans of Melissa and Kevin's relationship. And that's what we're all about on our stream. We bring couples on, and they tell their love story in song. They don't sing.
They don't sing. So Kev, if you see this, we're not asking you to come on and sing.
You have to drink lemon and la 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 and warm up your vocal cords, because we'll play DJ C Sharp here. We'll play the.
I'll play the real people singing the song. I'll play the real people singing.
Your curated playlist / mixtape for those of us of a certain age. Of the love songs that tell your story. So this is a shout out to all couples out there thriving and doing great stuff together, lasting through the ups, downs, turmoil, surprises. We would love to have you on, because people need to see couples doing the thing and doing it well.
Yes.
Like LL said, doing it and doing it well.
You got to be a certain age to know that. You got to be a certain age to know that one.
We appeal to a certain age. That's our thing. We don't shy away from our lane.
We don't shy away. You know, if you've never seen cigarettes in a vending machine, you might be too young.
You might be too young to hang out with us.
So
you just might be too young to hang out with us.
But either way.
But we love the young ones too, so don't shy away.
We just wanted to shout out the fact that we here. We came here with a couple of goals in mind. We thought it was it's a top tier studio, so we wanted to do our premiere
in here
at a top tier studio, and we hope we might run into him so that we could invite him on the show. Since we can't seem to connect with him through the millions of other people who are trying to connect with him.
I know, right?
It's millions of people trying to get to him. We can't break through. So we figured this is a way that we might be able to break through, and we just may have.
I see you, Christina. Christina's in our Twitch talking about she bought cigarettes out of a vending machine.
That's crazy.
Yes,
that's crazy.
I bought them from my grandmother because back then you just tell kids to go buy you cigarettes.
So that's where we are, and we appreciate the hospitality that they've given us so far, and it's been great.
It's been great.
And
shout out to
we'll move
Stage
on
Studios.
to other locations as we doing this. Someone said we should do this as a tour, that we should just go to cities and podcast from cities.
Oh my God! Do not tease me with that idea.
Someone said that we should do that. A friend of mine, who's a friend of yours,
this is a good friend.
Who is in Korea.
Friend. I love this person. Who is in Korea right now?
Who's in Korea right now.
We love you, person in Korea right now, because you're traveling all over the world right now, and that is such an excellent idea, sis. Logging that in the must-do file.
So we'll work on that. So, all right. So now let's kind of get to what our podcast will be.
Yes.
Because we trust me when I tell you, we've listened to
many. And shout out to every podcast, all the podcast hosts who have come onto our stream. I'm not going to try to list them because I should have typed up a list so I would not forget anybody. But you guys know who you are. We've had. Are we listing?
You bought the list.
I'm scared. No. As soon as I list,
listing.
I'm going to forget somebody. You have to charge it. Clarence is going to find
pull up a file.
He's going to pull up the file with the list right now so we can shout out to y'all for either having us on your stream or on your podcast, coming onto our stream, or sometimes in some cases both. You've made our stream and our lives that much more full now that we've met you and know you and follow you, and we're, just encouraging each other along this marriage journey. Because it is a journey and it changes every year, every day, every month is something new and different sometimes, like suddenly podcasting. But anyway, so this is what the podcast is about. So for those of you who have not blessed yourself with a copy of the book, know that the each of the chapters, which we call tracks, because hint hint, DJ She Sharp, marriage has revolved around music. That's the joy of our togetherness, is sharing music with each other and enjoying music. So The Rhythm of Love is the name of the book. The chapters are called tracks, and they each are titled with title names.
Real songs that you can go and look them up.
And you can go on Spotify.
Yes, you can.
And you can play the Rhythm of Love playlist as well, which has these songs and more. But anyway, so each of us wrote, most of the chapters were written by just one of us. We edited each other's work, but not for like substance. So, he was free to say whatever he wanted to say about me on a topic and vice versa. And we did not allow each other to edit on substance. So we were like, as you're reading the other person's chapter, you're like, wait a minute, I agree, I don't agree. My spin is a little bit different from yours.
Correct.
And so this podcast is our opportunity for each of us to either respond to the other person's chapter, or, say more about what, because 2 and 3 years later down the line, it's been or every single time we look at it, it's like, oh, we could have said this, we could have done this.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we are self-published, so we did this thing on our own, y'all. So, there was no one pulling things out of us or asking us questions, and so now we're asking each other those questions.
Yes,
and we're so glad that you're here with us to talk about that. Is that enough about what the podcast is?
That's enough. Okay. I do have the people's names on the other podcast if you still want that. If you don't, we can do them later.
Maybe shout them out at the end.
All right, that's fine. All right, I got them.
All right. Don't let me forget though.
I won't forget. I won't let you forget. Cameron won't let
I'm
us
the
forget.
forgetful one.
He's right there. He's right there. He's right there counting us down.
I'm the forgetful one in the relationship.
Because we're talking to a lot of DJs, because we hang with a lot of DJs on Twitch. Having someone to work your production is next level stuff. I'm going to tell you.
He's so relaxed right now. He's never been this relaxed on stream. It'll be like, C Sharp, you were supposed to say X, Y, Z. You were supposed to. Sometimes people in the chat are like,
why is he so quiet?
He's so quiet.
I'm trying to make sure all these levels are right and all these switches are turned and the song got to be played next. It's a lot of work.
He actually gave me a set of buttons that he is like, okay, you can use these. But somehow they're just sitting there and I haven't pressed one yet.
Unpressed.
I don't know.
Unpressed is
Am I
what
just
they
supposed
are
to press
there.
them? I need a whole lesson for this. So let's like get it started.
All right, sure. So she's going. I'll let her ask me her questions. Welcome to our bedroom conversations, because this is what you're basically getting.
Yeah,
it's the conversations that we have amongst ourselves.
Yes,
you're just getting it live. So
yeah, or recorded.
Or recorded. I'm not sure. It depends on how you watch, how you're taking this in.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
Is there something that's, you know what I want to ask first?
What you want to ask?
No. I'm on the fence about where I want to go. It's our first time. I gotta, we got more content to make. So,
it hadn't been our first time in a long time. So, it's been a long time since it was our first time doing almost anything.
Are you trying to get me to say pop my cherry again?
You said that already. You already said that.
You're trying to get me to say it again on mic.
You and Dalen.
This is the podcast cherry. So we talked about the fact that there are chapters we want to respond to.
Correct.
So you might as well just jump in and tell me, what's the first one? Like top of mind. Where would you go in the book?
The first one I would go with is a chapter called Be Encouraged.
Okay.
And the gist of the chapter, is about your desire to make sure that you understood that your happiness was based on you, not based on me.
Listen.
So you wrote this whole chapter about that, and you say things like, my spouse had to learn my love language and use it to help me feel loved. Mm-hmm. But then you go on a little bit farther to say that's not really his job to make my happiness. He can add to my happiness.
Right. You do. It is your job to make me feel loved.
Yes.
But you just add to my happiness.
I just add to your happiness. So I had some comments that I would have written as a man.
Okay.
Because this is what I thought, and I wrote them down right here.
Yes.
As a man, I don't always feel like I have the space to be able to get down on myself for the things that I haven't done or the mistakes that I have made in my life. I don't have that space because there are people who are reliant on me. So I have to get it together so that we can all move forward. Because if I fall down, I feel like, and that's not to say every man, but I feel like I take a bunch of people with me if I fall down. So I don't have the space to say, to fall down, to have those things.
Can I interject a little bit?
Sure.
It could tell us what you mean by fall down. Does that mean you can't take a moment away, or how falling down is like completely stopping everything you do? Is that the definition of fall down? What's fall down?
I don't know that I had
because I want you to have space to experience what you're experiencing.
In the worst case scenario, it is wallowing in my self-pity of something that I have done. I got the same insecurities that any person would have, male or female. I feel failure. I feel that my decision-making is not always the greatest decision-making, even though I've had some successes. But, as any person who has ever played any sport will tell you, the successes never stick with you as much as the defeats. The defeats stick with you. So the things that I didn't do, the mistakes that I did make, those are the things that give me sleepless nights. And about my sleepless nights.
I do know about your sleepless nights. I hate them.
But I gotta get up in the morning and I gotta go. I gotta keep this train has to move forward. And in your chapter you talked about what I would consider you don't specify them. I can specify them now. What I would consider the two things in our lives together that have been the issues for us, or the things that have been the issues. One is medical school, and the other is Simone.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that have really been the major, I don't want to use failures is the wrong word. It's not the right word, but
just the major shifts where I guess it was more than a shift. Upheaval. It's probably the best term. It's for those of you who don't know us or may not have read the book. I was a medical student when we got married. First of all, we got married at the teeny tiny ages of 21 and 23.
Yeah, pretty young.
So babies, we did not even realize how much we were babies and how little we knew about life and adulting and all those things. So I think that in and of itself plays a huge role.
I agree.
But I don't want to take over and go here with the medical school thing, because my notes in response to one of your chapters goes back to that story as well.
I'll let you dig into it.
Okay.
That's fine. But I'm going to tell you not how you should have handled it, because that's not my position. But just how the impact of both of these things affect me, and how your chapter on Be Encouraged, these were the things that I would have added. Some of the things that I would have added to the.
That if you were talking about maintaining Clarence's happiness
and for Clarence to be encouraged, and for these are the types of things that we're talking about. Like, okay, so I said, during the medical school phase, and that's what we're going to call it. That's the easiest way to call it.
Medical school dropout phase. That's what
I didn't call it dropout. See, you added that. I'm not adding any of that.
Because that's where I am for the rest of my life. I'll be a medical school dropout.
Trying to find the balance in myself between encouraging you and forcing
needing to go along,
right?
Push and move and can't stop. We can't just lay here and wallow in the fact that you dropped out.
Exactly. So as a man, I feel I would be scorned if in the same position that you were in, I couldn't ever allow myself to be in that position. I had to.
Which position was that? Pushing?
Not needing pushing, but just, it took you a while to figure out to recover from that, and that is respectful. It took you a while to recover from that, and I understood that you needed that time, but I don't think that I would have ever been allowed to have that kind of time.
So I think I would have liked things to work differently as well.
Okay.
I would have liked to process that in a more healthy way. I think that all of us, man, woman, chick, child, non-gender conforming, every type of person is going to have these is going to experience upheaval in their life, either by their own doing or by just how life does us. And to be able to process that in a place where you can tease out what's your failure from what's your fault. I'm going to speak from experience. I carried so much guilt. I carry so much shame over having left medical school because, quote unquote, it was my dream. And now thinking back, I'm like, okay, you were 22 years old. It's okay that you didn't know what your dream was. And there was no grace even for me. Man, I don't think it had anything to do with us, with the gender. And your perspective was that, okay, pick up yourself, dust yourself. No. That's what you would have been telling yourself. You did this.
That's the only position that I had.
Pick up yourself, dust yourself off. But look what has happened. You have these sleepless nights over other things that you felt like. And, so you would have needed, I needed, and, we didn't know how to do that. We didn't know how to really process it. Nobody should be asked to just stand up, forget it, and walk away. If you need time to process, nobody should be asked to do that. Man, woman, or anyone.
What I say to that is, theoretically, you are correct. Practically, you are not, as it applies to me or to the male, and it's unfair. But we should be able to do that
because
but the rent got to be paid. Baby need new pair of shoes.
And
diapers cost what they cost.
That's not the only thing that's not the only role you play by yourself. That's at that. I think. Wow, are we really about to break this whole thing down? It's going to be an hour. We're going to talk about this. So because it's such a big thing in our marriage, and so many things that we write about in the book that circle back to this first upheaval moment.
Yeah.
And then everything else circles back to the second upheaval moment was when we had our first child and we found out that she was diagnosed with autism. And I have to say, for everyone who's ever had a child diagnosed with autism, or if you're a person diagnosed with autism yourself, we now understand autism in and of itself is not a terrible sentence and on your life. And, what's the prognosis? You're going to have a horrible life. No. But at that time, with the little knowledge we had, and also with the severity of how our daughter is affected, and the fact that she has also intellectual disability as well, not just autism, and some other comorbidities that make life really, really tough. it was an upheaval moment for us. And so we're only speaking for ourselves when we say that. However, that was just a side note for, we're gonna get autism awareness.
We're going to get back to some, we're going to get back to
right,
that.
No, right. We are going to, right. I'm finished talking about that. Okay. But I had to say that since we mentioned her autism diagnosis as an upheaval moment, it doesn't always, it's specific to us and our situation. So what I'm saying is, at that upheaval moment, neither could I just stop and not do what I was doing before. She still needed to be parented. We still had to get up every day. I still had to go to work. All those things still had to happen.
And I did not know how to help you, because the only way I know how to get through things like that is to put my feelings aside, put my feet on the ground and walk. And I don't know any other way. So I had trouble during that period of time. Yeah, being encouraging to you, and I say that in half.
We're talking about the medical school time now.
Yeah, I'm talking about that half apologetically, but I didn't know any better, and I didn't know how.
And I didn't know how to ask, and I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know even that I needed to have this conversation. Like, I don't say I didn't know, but it felt like something I was going through. Like, I had chosen to go to medical school. I was already in it. You had invited me. You're recording us on your phone?
No, I wasn't. Not on purpose.
You had proposed to marry me. I had said yes. Also, kind of knowing that I knew the turmoil in my life over medical school at that moment. But somehow, I had compartmentalized those things. Like, the medical school is me. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going through. Clarence has just stepped into my life and become a part of it, but not realizing how much it was going to impact him, and not realizing how little he knew. Now that you live with me and you see me, my comings and goings, and my goings and goings, because I'm always somewhere studying, somewhere in class, and, me complaining and hating it and hoping it will get better, thinking that you could see that this was me taking a year off because it was not what I expected it to be at all. I never realized that you were what your experiences were. I was involved in me going through an experience, and I thought, surely he's right here. He must see what I'm going through.
So I actually wrote down something specifically related to that, because we did some research on ourselves before we got here. And I said, I can't say that I didn't want you to be a doctor, because that would be disingenuous. Of course I wanted you to be a doctor, and of course it was selfish at some level. Of course it was financial at some level, of course it was all of those kinds of things. But once you decided that wasn't what you wanted to do, I absolutely would have been fine had you said, and I want to do this. And that was the part that was the hard part for me. What's the song by Marlene Shaw? There's a song by Marlene Shaw where the guy comes, he quits his job, comes home with some mirrors and some hair care products, and says, he gonna open up a salon for hair care, and she fussing at him over that. But in the end of the song, she's okay. You sure you're gonna be able to pull this off? But and that's what I was looking for from you, was just what your plan was gonna be. And you didn't know.
I was already admitted to UNC at that point. It just, my start time wasn't, and so I ended up getting a master's degree in public health, for people who don't know.
Yes.
So that was already in the works. It's just, it was going to take a year for that to be starting, and I didn't not want to do that, but I wasn't. I mean, yeah, you didn't say, I need you to tell me what your plan is. And if you did, I just wasn't ready to hear it.
Sure.
I was not ready to hear it. If I wasn't married to you, I would have probably dropped out and gone home for that year. and then gone back when it was
to
time
do something
to
else.
either to start school at UNC, the public health program, or do something else, apply to another program at another school closer to home.
So
yeah,
this whole chapter is about being encouraged.
Yes.
So what I've then found, and because I'm going segue a little bit,
yes, because we could beat this horse.
I knew you were struggling with that. I knew that we were all struggling. We were both. I can say all. We were both struggling with that, and then of course we get pregnant with Simone.
Right, but I'm fully in my career at this point. But yes,
you're still struggling because we're only at UNC. We're both at UNC when you're pregnant with Simone.
Well, we're graduating though. Right, I don't have a job.
You don't have no job yet.
I don't have a job yet.
And we fly to Arizona. We do all those types of things
for you to look for jobs for you.
So then we end up going to Switzerland, and I've never said this out loud.
Okay.
So
yeah, get ready because we are going to be saying some things we haven't said to each other on this podcast.
Yeah, I've never said this out loud. So I, to some degree, at times, blame myself for Simone's disability. Because I took you overseas. You went willingly, but it was still me kind of saying we should go. And I think, and there's no empirical evidence to support this at all, but I think when you got sick in Tunisia I always think of that in my mind as, when we had those difficulties after that trip to Tunisia, that how did that impact her? How did that impact our baby?
Really?
And then that means that if it, I don't know it to be true, but it doesn't stop me from feeling that because I was so gung-ho about doing this, that I somehow contributed or led to our baby's disability.
I've never thought that. I've never felt that.
And what Simone gave me that I never had before her was a real problem that I couldn't solve through work, that I couldn't solve by putting my feet on the ground and walking through it. She gave me a problem that I could,
more than one,
that I couldn't solve.
More than one.
So it is the most, so I don't know if it's being humbled by the Lord to say, you felt this kind of way about what she was going through, and now I'm going to show you that, there are things that you can't just put your feet on the ground and think I'm going to get up and go to work every day and eventually it's going to work itself out. So I've never said that out loud, but it's how I feel.
Yeah, I hope that you get to talk to Jesus one day and get an answer on that. I wish I could relieve you of that because I never felt that. I never felt any kind of get back whatsoever. In my mind never went back to now he can see how it was for me dropping out of medical school and how I felt. Never once, not even a minuscule tiny in the back of my head. There's some things in the back of my head, but that's not one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, I've never held that against you in that type of way to say this is why we're here. First of all, I don't, really, that's not how my belief in God works, to say that he is vengeful. I don't, obviously we don't know why Simone, got her government. We got everybody's government.
We out here.
We don't know why Simone has the challenges that she has. It's just so many things we can point to. I just to know, we sometimes say to each other, do you never share the crazy thoughts you have? So we're probably going to be sharing
let's clarify that.
He said that
I share all my crazy thoughts.
He shares his
she
crazy
never
thoughts,
shares her crazy thoughts.
Yes, I am much more reserved and withheld. Things I withhold, I do. So I'm trying not to do that. I just turned 50 in December, so I'm trying to, be more open, be more of an open book to you and apparently to whoever wants to watch this podcast. But one thing about us being in Switzerland while I was pregnant is there were no rules against smoking anywhere.
Anywhere.
You could smoke anywhere. And so there was a lot of times where I was exposed to cigarette smoke.
We went to the movies while we were in Switzerland, and we were watching the movie Gladiator.
Yes, which is the one of my top.
It's a great movie.
Top all-time faves.
And about an hour into the movie,
suddenly the screen goes black.
And I'm thinking, somebody need to change the reel or something in the background.
And everybody else is calmly
people
just
stood up and went outside to smoke cigarettes.
They paused the movie for smoke breaks. I mean, you know, maybe somebody's going to pee, somebody's getting some popcorn. I don't know.
We have an intermission.
It's not even a long movie. I think if it was like a 4-hour movie,
it's not the Titanic,
right?
It's just, it was crazy. Okay, I'm sorry.
But anyway, side note: the fact that there were cigarettes everywhere, and there are a lot of times where I was in position where I was exposed to cigarette smoke. So that's the only thought I have, and I certainly wouldn't blame that on you. We just decided together we wanted to go, see the world while we were young. Just so happened. We got pregnant right before we left, which is a whole other story. But yeah. So I if it's at all possible, I could relieve you of that guilt. Please be relieved, because I don't hold that. I don't hold that over you at all. We were doing the best we could at that time. Seriously, there's things, there was so much growing up we needed to do at our young, tender ages, getting married and trying to have a family that, we really can only look back and thank God that we made it to the point that we are. It's a lot of people who have been through some of the things that we've been through, have taken each other through the things that we've taken each other through, who would not have made it this far. And I'm so appreciative of, which, can I just do another little digression? We're at 39 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't even know what this has to do with anything, but we're on Twitter. We're in the sphere. We're in social media. Especially seeing a lot of stuff comes in our algorithm about relationships and things like that. And I remember, now I never watched the video, so I'm not gonna get it exactly right. Or maybe it's in her second book where Michelle Obama, or maybe it's in her first book, which I've read mostly, where she says, for 10 years of her marriage, she didn't like Barack. And there was a lot of pushback on that whole, that's what's wrong with, previous generations. They stay in marriages when they're unsuccessful, and, she should have got out of that. I would never, that, and the third. And one thing that she says is that, and I'm totally just paraphrasing, is that, look where we are though. Look at the marriage that we have now. And I think that applies to us so much, because honestly, and you probably will hear more as we're doing this podcast, we wrote this kind of happy book, kind of only touch here and there on how hard marriage was for us in the early years. But marriage was really, really hard for us in a lot of ways. And we could have at any point said, enough is enough. I'm not getting emotionally what I need. I'm not getting physically what I need. And we could have said, this is not working. But I'm just want to say that I'm glad we didn't. I don't know all the reasons why we didn't. If it was obligation, it was love. I really do love you. And I really think we are excellent friends. You are one of my best friends. I don't think husbands and wives should be best friends.
Listen,
but that's
listen. Classy T and something to say are in this chat. I see them right there, and I can tell you right now that on the friend level, on the friend scale, I am at least number 3 behind those two ladies, right? At least number 3, and there may be 1 or 2 other people who are in there. I may not even make the top 5 on the friendship list, but she just has to come home to me every night. So that's just where we are right now.
But I mean, first of all, that's how you got me. is because I thought I enjoy just being in your presence. I enjoy, your storytelling. I enjoy the things that we find humorous together. We drove up and down 95 almost every weekend, 300 miles one way, for 5 years. And it wasn't always a good time, but it was the good times just outweigh the bad. And so I just want to say that to people there's a fine line. How do you know when this is all there's ever going to be and we should call it quits and get out and save ourselves from the next years of misery? We're all finding out that grandma hated grandpa and she just couldn't leave him because she couldn't get a bank account by herself, or she couldn't ever get a mortgage by herself.
Sure.
And so none of that is true, and women have more freedom. So yeah, it's like a question for me. It's like I never had one foot out the door or anything like that, but how do you counsel someone to say, yeah, this is it, and you probably need to just go ahead and check up your losses? Or how do you know that we had those really difficult times where we were not speaking to each other, we were not touching each other sometimes for lengthy periods of time, but we got to hear.
So I think the key to that is sharing, which is why this whole podcast enterprise is blowing up for these types of things.
For this type of discussion,
because people who are in those situations tend not to know, or tend to feel isolated, tend to feel like I'm the only one who is going through this. No one, my situation is just so unique and just so different that no one else can understand it. And I think that hearing other people's stories and really internalizing them and understanding them and trying to figure out how you can apply their lessons to yourself is the key to that. So,
but we didn't have that. And nobody was sharing anything with us.
Nobody was sharing nothing.
Nobody was sharing a thing. And so, I don't know. I'm just taking a moment for some thankfulness and gratefulness that we're here. So we do have 15 more minutes. I just want to. Okay, so she want to ask me some questions. Go ahead. You were supposed to ask me some questions. What am I supposed to ask you?
Okay, so if you had a chapter, we ain't gonna be able to get through the whole thing. I can look at your list right there.
Some of the things we already said. Some of the things we already said, which is why I just looked here to say while we're on this. I don't need to look at that particular chapter just to say, because you kind of let me hear anyway. And I think I've said almost everything that was here.
So I'll do. Then this is what I'll do. Then I'll do one more, and then I'll do an easy one, and you can respond. I wrote it, but I want to know what you thought about it. How about that? I wrote it.
Okay.
I want to know what you thought about it.
All right.
And this is one that has been, we talk about a lot, which is your underwear. This is one This is one we talk about a lot.
His underwear is my favorite topic, guys.
Cameron,
we know why.
In this book, I describe.
He wrote a whole chapter.
So I'm the laundry guy in our house. When the kids were younger, I enjoyed laundry. Laundry is therapeutic for me. Some people like other things. I like the laundry. Clean clothes make me happy. So shout out, good morning and afternoon to everybody who washes, dries, and puts away their clothes all in the same day. The rest of you guys, I'm not talking to you. I'm only talking to those guys. So I'm telling Cameron doesn't know this story. Cameron sitting over here, he doesn't know this story. He's going to sip my water. He's about to find out. So Cameron, I was washing the clothes one day, and I had to put some of her underwear away in her drawer, and I opened that drawer, and it was 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep of nothing but panties. And I said to myself, who needs all of these underwear? Why do we have all these underwear? So I did some some math on them and started doing some counting, and there was over 75 pair of underwear in that drawer. Now that number has gone up by at least 25 since I wrote that chapter. So my question to you, is why? What?
Is that really your question?
It's really a question, because I know you want to say there's color and then there's
there are, like, I have on white pants right now. I can't wear light colored underwear under white pants.
Okay, so then you should have black and you should have white.
2, there's shape and style, because it depends on if I'm going to be putting undergarments over those underwear, if I'm going to be in moving and doing a lot of shifting around, exercising. You need different if the panty line is going to show or it's not going to show. Cameron is nodding because he's like, yes, these all make sense to him.
They don't make no sense.
And I'm not into doing laundry. So it's better for me to have a whole option of 2 to 3 to 4 weeks of underwear than it
Cameron,
is.
That's madness.
And sometimes I wear more than one pair in a day because of the various things that my life takes me through. So, sir, get out my underwear drawer.
Okay.
I do my own laundry, people.
Oh yes, So part of the arrangement for this laundry thing is I only do mines and the kids, because she shrinks her. She says I shrink her stuff.
He does. He shrinks my stuff. Okay, so now
like I separate her stuff out especially to shrink it. I don't.
No, it's not.
It's all in the dryer.
It's really not him. It's not him per se. It's that ladies' clothing is made with all these special instructions. All the ladies know. Sometimes
tumble dry
low is very commonly on the women's clothing. Tumble dry low, or don't dry at all. Hang to dry. Turn inside out. All of these things that are on some of your clothing too, but somehow yours survive.
She has shirts that are 25 years old.
Well, because I follow the wash instructions. Reuse, reduce, recycle.
The style has gone out and come back, and she still got the clothes. I put it to the side while
the style is out, and then when the style comes back, I'm like, crazy. Oh yeah, I'm already ready. I don't have to buy new
t-shirts
clothes.
Every summer. Every year I'm buying all new t-shirts.
I know. Because when your wardrobe is t-shirts, sir, which you're openly admitting across the broadcast waves.
My
when your
jeans and t-shirts
is jeans and t-shirts.
That's what I got.
Life is much simpler.
That's what I'm working with.
Life is much, much simpler.
All right.
So have I broken it down enough that you get it? You get it now?
Here talking about this. Twan, we coming to see you. We be in the Bay Area and if you can find, maybe you can find us a podcast place. We can start. You can be our tour. You can be stop number 2 on the podcast tour.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm looking at the chat now because no, I wasn't looking at the chat. Sight Giver tells me I have fancy clothes. Your clothes don't have those instructions on it. Hang dry, turn inside out, dry, tumble dry low.
Listen.
So many of my clothes have that.
It's a different.
Big Stove says his wife says she has a drawer and shelves for undies.
It's crazy.
Sight Giver is like, she only does one a day. Sight Giver's not feeling me. We not on the same zone, cousin.
Let me shout out some of the podcasts that came on so that I can say some people who came onto our show.
Yes, who came onto our stream.
Because you didn't want to forget that. And our time is ticking. I see the clock over there.
Once it gets to 50 minutes, it's over.
It's almost over. All right, so we got to talk to What's Shaking with the Bushes out of St. Louis.
Yes,
we appreciate them.
Thank y'all. And they hooked us up with Canvas Rebel. If you go to canvasrebel.com, you can look us up there. We have an article about us.
They have an article, yes.
Thanks to the Bushes for that.
We have Russell and Brandy out of Michigan.
Oh my God.
And they were on the What They Never Told Us podcast.
Oh my God. Shout out to the What They Never Told Us podcast. Y'all, all these we're listing, please follow. Please click the links click the links. We're not in the chat. I'm sorry. But please, search them up on your podcast place.
If you come to our website and go to our view, watch us, you'll see their clips, episodes and you'll be able to get links to their
episode. Yeah, you'll get links to where they live.
So then we got Harvey and Carice out of Tampa, Florida. And that was on the Love is Black podcast.
Yes.
Then we got Mike and Shalise out of Gary, Indiana.
One of our first, yes.
Absolutely
Married People's Business podcast. We both came onto each other's podcast.
We got Ciandra and Brandon out of Houston, Texas.
Who got engaged not too long after they came. It probably had nothing to do with us, but I like to say.
We're going to take some credit. We're going to take some credit.
That we pushed them towards like, yes, this love works. Our love works. Let's do this for real.
And they're on the Buffet. The Buffet podcast. So, and then there's a bunch of other people here from Twitch. We got Kim and Mike for Kimmy 50. We have Rel and Kel.
Shout out
of
to
Cleveland, Ohio.
Fam. Yes.
The hub of music entertainment, apparently.
Big Stove said you can solve any argument by putting on a Daz Band slow jam.
Yeah, I know he did. I know he did. You know, I didn't even know.
Shout out to the Daz Band.
Cleveland, Ohio.
One of our favorite Cleveland bands.
The hub of music.
As of a few months ago.
Based on Big Stove and Kelly. So, and then we had the Chronicles of Nyce, who came on with Rich.
Yes.
And Latika.
And Latika rap for us, because that's how she got him. She said she was
International Players Anthem, I think is what she rapped.
They met in middle school or high school, and that's how she got him.
And then we have the Diddys, of course, who came on out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Auntie and Uncle Diddy.
And then we had a couple of people who came on who before we actually had cameras. Before we did cameras for people to come on, we talk about the rights.
Yes.
We could talk about
shout out to Something to Say and Doc Chris Wright.
And we talk about the Alfreds, who also came out. So so these are all people who came on. Oh, and how could I forget Tangerine and CT out of Los Angeles, California.
Yes.
On the
we had the West Coast representative.
Marriage Go Round. The Marriage Go Round podcast. Marriage Go Round. Marriage Go Round.
It's
Rah. I don't even know how they do
it. Things, right? Okay, anyway, let's
thank
stop.
all of those people for coming out and support us.
Yes, we thank y'all very much. But I'm still looking at the chat and laughing at y'all here. Thank you so much for y'all's support here, our Twitch fam. For people who are just watching the podcast and recording or listening, we do stream every Sunday night at 9 p.m. It's called Heartbeats in the Basement. The basement is our studio where DJ C Sharp streams, and we do slow jams and conversation. It's a hoot and a half. You should come.
Yes. Come on through.
You should come, and you'll get a little less of this. This is our open, honest platform for just airing and sharing.
Right.
But we do have fun. We do have lots of fun and on our stream. And we hope you come through there.
Absolutely. Book. We are about to shut down, I think.
Signing the book.
Signing copies of the book. We're about to shut that down. So if you don't have your copy.
If you don't have your signed copy, now's the chance.
You won't be able to get any more signed copies.
It's going to be so exclusive. When we blow up, you're going to be like, I got a signed copy.
And if everything that's happening in front of me continues to happen, we gonna get Kevin Melissa on our show. I'm calling it into existence.
Amen.
As though faith is believing things that are not seen as though they were.
Yes.
So that's what we talk. I mean, we put stuff on his desk.
We just love y'all. I don't know. It's a thing. Y'all are so cute and doing such huge, big things. Your family is growing up right in front of us. We've latched onto you. Latch back for just a second. We're not like stalkers. We're not. I know we flew all the way to LA. We're in your studio now saying we're not stalkers, but it's true. We're not.
Really not.
We would just meet you. Maybe you'd come on and share your love story through song with us, and then that's it. We would not continue to harass you.
We would not.
In any way, shape, or form.
But I can tell you right now, we're the friends you wish you had. You got friends.
He said you wish.
You got good friends. I'm telling you now, you got great friends. Tony Baker
you do.
Tahir Moore and his family. You got good friends.
Because we watched the honey-do list. So now we've seen them with their spouses, which is like crazy and wild, and we love it. Y'all tune into
the honey-do list.
The honey-do list on Kev on Stage his studio streaming platform. Yeah.
And this is my last plug for myself. This is our last plug.
Plug away, baby. You got 3 minutes.
I don't know her personally.
2.5.
So I want to say Melissa, but I think her friends might call her like Lish.
Well, look, see, hush. Just what's on the you know Melissa as her name. So
sorry,
Mrs. Fredericks for you.
You got shirts older than her. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going too far.
You're ruining your chances.
We want to be on the honeydew list. We got stuff to say if we want to be on the honeydew list. So we would fly back to California to be on the honeydew list. So you let me know what I need to do to get on the honeydew list, and we want to come be on the honeydew list.
If you need a couple to beat us, you need a couple that needs a win. Bring them on against us on the honeydew list. So I'm just gonna put it like that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I've said too much. Our time is winding up so much. Jonay, Classy T, Funk Lore, Big Stove, my cousin Sight Giver, L7 Kings L7,
these are
Lily
everybody
P,
in the chat. Yes.
CCL JR Trek, Ice Cold Ace 1906.
I've said enough to know
this girl Chris X Tina.
That I've said too much.
Yeah, he does that sometimes, so that's why I'm here. But thank y'all so much. Those are the people I see in the chat right now. Anybody who I left out, all love to you. We'll see you guys this coming Sunday night when we're back in town.
So thank you so much.
Love, peace. I don't know what's going to be our ending. What's going to be our way we end the podcast?
We got to come up with something. It can't be peace and soul. That's taken over by Don Cornelius.
Yes. So. And I can't do hearts because maybe they're only listening. I don't know. We have to come up with something. But thank you. Thank you for listening. We hope you come back.
Bye, guys.
Bye.